Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we're coming to you with a new band for the channel, but a rather old band, actually, The Pretty Things. We're going to look at a track off SF Sorrow, and actually it's going to be performed live in the year 1998, 30 years after its release, with David Gilmour as special guest guitar player, and also there's going to be a little bit of Arthur Brown narrating. And I know this album, by the way. As a matter of fact, I've got a copy right behind my shoulder there.
Nice.
Called Real Pretty, and it's SF Sorrow and Parachute, and I've had that album for a long time, for like 35 years, and it's still a favorite. SF Sorrow is a classic album, but the story behind it is that they recorded it. It was supposed to be the first rock opera, and in fact it is, and it came out 5 months before Tommy. But the way that everything unfolded, it came out kind of well after they recorded it, and they couldn't really tour behind it because it was so effects heavy. But they had Norman Smith, the guy who produced Piper at the Gates of Dawn for Pink Floyd, as their producer. That's actually exactly why they asked for him. It's a good record, but I'd never seen anybody try to play it live before, especially not The Pretty Things. So 30 years later, 1998 at Abbey Road Studios, they did just that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what David Gilmour does in this. The two songs are just going to flow together, so I think we're just going to let it roll through, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Adrian, do you have any thoughts up ahead before we take a look at this, like about the album or anything?
Pretty Things, Pink Floyd, and the Beatles sort of round out the royalty of psychedelic rock.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true, yeah.
Those three albums, Piper, Pepper, and Sorrow, were all recorded at roughly the same time at Abbey Road Studios, I understand.
Yeah, Sgt. Pepper, it would have been earlier in the year. I know Piper was getting done at the same time, and they were recording it from November of 67 to September of 68, so of course that's a bit after both albums had come out and become popular. It all worked out well. They made a pretty interesting album for sure at this point, but we've never seen them play it, and especially not with David Gilmour. So let's go ahead, take a look at it, and we will discuss it afterwards. All right.
He covered his face with his hands, but his eyes burnt his fingers. At the end of the hall, they mounted the 1,000 steps of a spiral staircase, up and up, and when they reached the top, he saw, through two immense windows, the most painful sight yet. Sorrow turned away.
Dave Gilmour. The usual suspects.
Okay, well, thoughts, Adrian?
What an astounding collection of sound.
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, it really was. Very much out of the 60s.
Quite appropriate to have Dave Gilmour play here, to say the least.
Yeah, that's true. He was playing just the way we hear him on the early Floyd albums, you know, adding all those interesting delay effects and things like that. And yeah, beautiful tones, really. And that fit in perfectly with what they were doing here. So, yeah, there were parts of I See You that I wish his volume was a little higher. But other than that, I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, I also noticed two drummers in this. I don't think the band had two drummers. One of them kind of looked young, too, actually. It could have been like the son of one of the musicians in the band.
You got it. That's exactly who it is. That is the son of Skip Allen, who was the drummer for some of the tracks on the original album. He actually left the band during the recording of the album, and he was replaced by Twink. Skip Allen's up there, and that is his son playing next to him.
Arthur Brown is the announcer.
He's the guy narrating the whole album. There was no narration in the original album, but they've gone back and added it here, I guess, for clarity. But yeah, that was really the first rock opera. It predated Tommy by a few months. So I'm sure it galls them a little bit whenever they hear that Tommy was the first rock opera. I mean, like Well of Destiny is a bit of an interlude, but pretty much everything else is a proper song. Good work on their part. And if you haven't heard the album, it's worth hearing.
SF Sorrow is a great album.
Yeah.
Some cool visual effects on the video, too.
Yeah, pretty low budget, but they did the trick. I mean, for 1998, they were probably a lot more interesting than they are today, you know. I see what they were trying to get across there. It might be worth watching the whole thing one day, but I don't know if we can do the whole thing on camera, but there is a complete show available for this, and it's the entire album, and it runs for an hour. Okay. So, folks, why don't you let us know what you thought of this? If it strikes you as something completely new, or if you are a fan of the Pretty Things and this album, this is probably their very most famous album. I don't know that it was all that popular at the time. It made some headway, but not very much. But it is regarded as one of their best records, and I think it is their best record. But give your thoughts below on that. Let us know if this is a new thing that you've never heard before, or anything else you might want to share having to do with it or the Pretty Things. And if you have other suggestions for us, you can leave those below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed our presentation, please subscribe. All right, thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, take care, folks.
See you all later.